First of all, perhaps you might be able to talk me through what the current situation is with MEPs' expenses, how much you can claim for.
The current situation with MEP's expenses is that we are the owners of the definition about our own salary and expenses. That's one of the issues which is crucial for the debate we are having concerning the cutting in the MEP's expenses, because the MEPs decide on their own expenses. And we are talking about a salary, a wage, a direct one, around 60,000 euros per month. But then we have several expenses which are out of taxes, like, for instance, the per diem and also the general expenses. And our
Per diem is an allowance per day?
Yes. Per diem is an allowance per day, which is around 300 euros per day. And then we have the general expenses. In that case, the amount is around 4,300 euros each month. So over the last years, we have been proposing, and mainly the coordinator of United Left in the Budget Committee, Miguel Portas, has been proposing several cuts, namely in the travel expenses. We have proposed since the beginning that the members of the Parliament should travel in economic fare, unless there are health conditions or the flights are too long. And other conditions can be associated. And we have also been asking for the reduction on the general expenses, which to try to explain what it is at stake. We are talking about the money that members have to buy their office supplies, for instance. So in this moment, the amount is around 4,300 euros per month, as I said, and our proposal was to cut it in 25%.
What kind of support did that proposal get?
It was not much supported, so there was a compromise then, because the original amendment presented to the Budget Committee was on the 25%, but then there was an agreement to present a compromise amendment representing 2%. We are talking about 200 euros each month, which is not much. So in this scenario where there's in fact an effort from the rapporteur to reduce the expenses in the Parliament and the services associated to the Parliament, and I can give some examples. For instance, in the services concerning the interpreters, we are talking about a reduction of 21 million euro per year. We think it's not acceptable that the same members who are adopting austerity measures and asking to the citizens to do huge sacrifices in their own member states do not put into practice any kind of cut when it comes to our own salaries and expenses we have right to access.
Were you surprised that people failed to support the 25% suggestion?
Yes, because it was a surprise, because we know very well that this amount is not, there's not a total expenditure in this amount, because it's almost impossible that a member of the Parliament can waste, so to say, 300 euros per month in office supplies and associated expenses.
Do you think there are any MEPs that are claiming all of that at the moment?
I think yes, because these expenses are out of taxes and they are not controlled. So yes, I would say yes. But
they have to be receipted, these expenses.
We have to register them, but there's no control. So at the end, the result is the same.
So it's a bit like the situation here with the English MPs who were claiming for things and people said there was little control.
There's a transference, a monthly transference to the MEP's account, and then it is not controlled. That's how it happens.
So it happens almost automatically?
Yes, it's almost an automatic procedure, yes. And at the end, we are talking about something which is out of taxes, and we think that the amount is too high. And in this context, where the MEPs are the ones who define on their own expenses and on their own salaries, I think is not quite a very good message to pass to our citizens, to say that, okay, we are here to able to cut in everything and to ask you to do sacrifices, but we are not able to cut not even 5% in our general expenses.
That's right, because I was going to come on to that. You then suggested it should be cut to 5%, but even that has barely been supported, has it?
Yes, there were 41 members of the Parliament to sign this amendment in order that it could be voted in the plenary during this session. Although we are still struggling in order to get it into the plenary, because the services of the Parliament just gave an administrative response to that, saying that by the legal basis of the rules of procedure, it couldn't be voted because it's not the original amendment. But at the same time, there's a contradiction, because the only amendments which are enabled to be voted in the plenary are those which were in fact voted in the competent committee, and that was the case. What was voted in the competent committee was the reduction of 5% and not the reduction of 25% as we wished, because it was a result of a compromise.
You managed to get, as you said, these 41 MEPs to sign it, but I understand that some parties were telling its MEPs not to sign the proposal.
Yes, the European Popular Party, the EPP, and the S&D, the Socialist group, they took as the position of the groups not to sign not only not to sign, not to support this compromise, but also not to allow their members to give their approval to that.
In the current climate, and at a time when people are often talking about greedy EU bureaucrats, it is surprising that MEPs aren't willing to sign up to this.
Yes, for me it's quite surprising, because we are talking about one domain which, to be honest, is not touching the heart. We are not talking about the wages of the MEPs. We are talking about the indirect wages. Because these expenses, as I said, are in the same monthly basis. But it's quite, I must say that I was quite surprised that we are not even able to give a sign. This is a vote of consciousness, in my opinion, and we are not even able to give a sign to our citizens that the crisis happens to everyone, including the members of the Parliament. So we should give the example, I think.
Very few British MEPs signed up to it, although there are some names on there. What's your message to the British MEPs who refused to sign?
My message would be the same to all the MEPs, that we cannot look like to the society as being in a kind of cell which is blocked from the world, because this budget, we are talking about an European budget which is lower than the second bailout, which was into Greece, which is lower than the investment towards the recapitalization of the banks. So we are talking about a very low budget, where we were able to reduce almost everything, but some areas which, by the way, are not, I think, the crucial domains in Europe, like, for instance, securitarian measures or other measures associated with support to the big companies, although our speech is to support the small and medium enterprises. So I think that the rapporteur of the Parliament tried to make a better proposal than the proposal from the Council, that's true, and she tried to move it as well towards the relaunchment of the economy and to the generation of jobs. But we are in such situation that when we enable that all the cuts are possible, including in such crucial domains like the ones I've just been referred, and with just a few exceptions, we cannot pass that message. And I would say to all MEPs that we have a responsibility to our citizens, and our responsibility is the responsibility to say something which applies to everyone, independently from our differences, political differences. There's something which has been approved every time in this house since the first crisis till the second crisis, which is to reduce all the possibilities of growth, of generation of employment, to increase the austerity measures everywhere. And we are not able to touch in our own resources. That's, I think, a very poor image of what is someone who should be representing the common interests.